Do you ever dread refueling your car once more? Is it becoming an inconvenience and a financial hassle due to the frequency of your fuel stops? Saving every last drop of fuel is something the automaker's been trying to accomplish for decades. You can help with what they started by doing simple checkups to your vehicle to keep it sipping as little fuel as possible. There have probably been times where you've been told tips and tricks to save fuel, but without knowing the why of what they say, how do you know it actually works? After listening to my speech, you'll be able to list a handful of procedures in order to keep your vehicle in its most economic state. Making your vehicle more fuel efficient can save thousands of dollars each year. First, I'll explore why someone would even want to make an effort into making their car more fuel efficient. With the average passenger car in the United States achieving 16 miles per gallon and the average distance driven annually being 13,500 miles, that equates roughly to 850 gallons of gas per year per car. Additionally, with the average price of gas at $2.50 per gallon, that equates roughly to $2,100 annually on fuel consumption. That grand total of $2,100 only gets larger the more driving you do annually. And hey, maybe it'll help pay for that vacation. Now, actually saving the fuel, not just saying what there is to save, is a whole nother ballgame. A large portion of saving fuel is actually driver habit. Take a second to think about how you drive, and not safety, but how you actually drive and operate your car. Are you a heavy-footed driver, hard acceleration? Do you drive with many vehicle accessories on? Do you drive through town or on the highway? These are some of the key factors in saving fuel. How? An engine uses more fuel when it's under load. Heavy-footed drivers exert more load on the engine, requiring it to use more fuel. And if you keep out of the throttle, it lets the engine run more efficiently and happily sip less fuel. Another factor is the load of the accessories. Just like being a heavy-footed driver, accessories put a load on the engine. The biggest being electrical accessories with heavy load and air conditioning. Air conditioning itself can reduce fuel mileage by 25% on short trips. That reduces our average fuel consumption from 16 miles per gallon of our example car to 12 miles per gallon. And this increases your average fuel consumption cost by $700 on its own. So if certain accessories aren't being used or needed, turn them off to reduce the load and less your fuel consumption. Just these simple changes in habit can have a dramatic effect on fuel consumption. In addition to changing to more fuel efficient habits, your vehicle has to be in tip-top shape to achieve maximum economy. The biggest culprit of poor fuel economy is the check engine light. When a check engine light is thrown, most commonly the engine goes into what's known as a safe mode, or what most people most commonly refer to as a limp home mode. And basically what this does is keeps the engine running decently enough so that you can get where you need to go and not be stranded. But an engine, if you give it too little fuel, is actually potentially dangerous to the engine, which is known as running lean. So what this limp home mode does is put extra fuel in the engine. Now, this does sacrifice efficiency, but it makes sure that the engine is going to be running well enough to get you where you need to go and not hurt itself. So they sacrifice efficiency for reliability. But if you keep this engine light off, it can run in tip-top shape and pull as much fuel as it can out while being safe and get your gas mileage back where it should be. An engine light can have an impact anywhere from 4 to 40% fuel economy. And this adds up to a total annual cost of just over $50 or a few $1,000s, depending on what the engine light is actually for, depending if it's for a random miscellaneous thing or if it's for, say, an oxygen sensor, which could have a large impact on your fuel consumption. Let's review. I shared with you some of the more impactful parts in fuel consumption. First being, why is it important? What's the motivation behind actually striving to get better mileage? And the money savings behind that. And how most of it is actually driver habit and not the vehicle itself. And say if you are actually a driver with good habits, how the most common thing for a car is if the check engine light's on, the car is running outside of its specified parameters, and most likely is running rich to keep itself safe, and then it's losing efficiency. So take this advice, apply it to your own car. You may be surprised the money you could save, and maybe be able to take that vacation I mentioned earlier.